Meeting online, and again, look at it this morning. Good morning. Hi, I'm Frank Messina, and this is the January 7, 2025 meeting of the Chatham Historical Commission. Before we start, there are a few announcements to be made. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please notify the chairman. I don't see anybody notifying the chairman. Pursuant to Governor Healy's March 29, 2023, signing of the Acts of 2023, extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law 3820, until March 31st, 2025, this meeting of the Chatham Historical Commission is being conducted in person and via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure the public can adequately address the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while it is in progress may do so by calling the phone number 508-945-4410, conference ID 195-861-795 #, or join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. While this meeting is a live broadcast and simulcast on Chatham TV, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide for real-time access. We will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. Thank you very much. March 29, 31st, 2025. I guess the governor has to make a decision whether we're going to continue with this process. Okay, the first order of business is the roll call. Bob Lear.
Here.
Nancy Barr.
Here.
Stephanie Hamilton.
Here.
Sandy Porter.
Here.
Janet Tennyson.
Good.
Oh, Janet, I'm sorry, Janet is out ill. Robert Stevens?
Here.
Thank you, Robert. Robert is participating online, and the chair is here. So Robert, being we have Janet Tennyson, one of our members, absent, as an alternate, you will participate.
He's not an alternate anymore.
I'm sorry?
He's not an alternate anymore.
All right, it's strike one. I just read what I'm given, okay? Forget it, Robert. Okay, all right, let's proceed. We have a relatively brief agenda, 2 items. We should be able to get through them very quickly, but before we do that, we have the minutes of December 17, 2024. It looks like you folks had a long meeting. Any comments or corrections, additions, deletions?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes from December 17th.
Okay, we have a motion
Second.
to accept the minutes. A second?
Second.
Thank you very much.
Oh, got it. Never mind.
Any other comments? My only comment is you did a great job, Annie. Thank you. Bob?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
And the chair abstains. I was absent. Thank you very much. Okay, the first application that we have is 34 Linden Tree Lane. This application is 25001, first one of the year. Is to be heard in accordance with Chapter 158, the Demolition Delay Bylaw. This application was actually changed for what was originally provided. So I believe everybody does have the revision to the application, a significant reduction in the efforts or the work effort that the applicant was proposing. I would just comment, this is not located in the National Register District, and it was completed a Form B, and for those members of the commission or the public who are interested in looking at it, this is actually an extremely historic house in the sense of its location, its history, and reading in the details, you find out this was a farm and the genesis of the florist, which is now Agway, over the years from 1950s. And so it is quite interesting. It probably was a farmhouse for a farm, an agricultural setting in that particular place. So, well, welcome, and why don't you introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about what you're doing. We do a two-step process here. First one, if you allow us, is to proceed to validate the historical significance of the house. If we determine the house is historically significant, then we can get into the application. I don't think you have any comments or anything negative relative to the house being historically significant?
No, sir, just beautiful old home.
Okay, do me a favor, just introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Jack Wishart with Coastline Construction, the builder for the repairs and maintenance items that we're looking at here today.
Okay, good. All right, so does anybody have any comment relative to historical significance? Or other than the fact that it's not? Okay, so we got a motion, please?
I move that we declare the house historically significant, or affirm the historical. Oh, I'm sorry, Bob.
No, go right ahead.
Oh, go.
I was like, I don't know what to say, actually.
Oh.
And then I realized that Bob usually
Well,
does it.
no, we do that, and just as a member, for the new members, or the recently new members, we used to have extremely long pregnant pauses, like, okay, somebody introduced a motion. So we figured, especially when a lot of the motions are pro forma, the vice chair would, introduce the motion in a positive, and then we take it from there. Robert?
Sure. I move the Chatham Historical Commission finds that the structure located at 34 Linden Tree Lane is historically significant because it is in whole or part 75 years old or more and is associated with one or more historical persons and economic issues in the political history of the town of Chatham.
Second, Nancy?
I second.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Quick roll call, if anybody from the public wishes to speak? No? Bob?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Turn it over to you.
All right, thank you so much. It was nice to meet you all yesterday on site, some of you. As we discussed, we are doing a replacement of a princess porch here, which is having some water issues. We will be proposing a couple of skylights to add some light into the home. One here and one right here. And then on our elevation over here, we've got 4 windows
Have to call you back.
that are being replaced back on this side. Don't know why I'm not seeing those. Sorry, right here.
Could you just speak up a little bit more into the microphone?
Sure, we're replacing 4 windows on this south elevation, as well as 1 window here on the north elevation. That is the extent of the exterior services. We'll be replacing some sidewall, of course, as the windows are replaced.
Okay. So there's really, in terms of the replacement, other than where you're putting the skylights in, there's no historic structure being removed?
No, sir.
Okay. All right.
Unknown participant is now joining.
I'm sorry?
It's just an automated thing for some reason.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Okay, it's rather straightforward. Do we have any comments or questions from members of the board? Yes, Nancy.
I just wanted to note, for the record, that you say that when you do install the skylights, you're not going to be removing any roof sheathing or any of the,
We will be removing
oh, sorry, the
sheathing.
sheathing, but none of the framing
That is
timbers.
correct. There's some very nice beams inside, so we're going to be avoiding any of those.
Okay, and it looks like you're going to try to reuse any materials you can. So
Of course.
I just wanted to
Yep.
say that's great.
Thank you.
I think one of their neighbors, Sam Schreiber, at the site visit, ask the question, just for the record, these will be flat flat skylights?
That's
not
correct.
bulbous?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Well, that's an interesting comment to think about that. It's a change, but it's really not that, in terms of the side view. Okay. All right. Any other questions? I guess not. Bob?
Yep. Chatham Historical Commission also finds that the proposed work to be done dated December 31st, 2024, which is something you need to watch out for because there's two plans, another one dated December 24th, will not materially diminish the historic significance of the building, and therefore the commission does not impose a demolition delay.
I'll second.
Okay. Any members of the public wish to speak for or against the application? Okay, seeing none. Quick roll call. Bob?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice
Appreciate
day.
your help. Okay. The next application we have,
Unknown participant is now joining.
For some reason,
say again?
for some reason, someone's joining online, that's all you're hearing.
Oh. My television does that every now and then, and it drives me nuts. No, it's like, if you change the volume, it's like, it's an accessibility thing where you can, people who are hard of hearing, which I guess they know I'm hard of hearing, it tells you what they're doing. Like, the volume is going up, and it's a real pain to get rid of it. Okay, application 25002, 128 Pine Knoll Avenue, and this is a full demolition of a cottage. It is not in the National Register. There's no Form B on the property, and partly is because the property just turned 75 years old, so it just kind of sneaked into us. So why don't you introduce yourself, Jamie, we'll go through it.
Good morning, Jamie Norcross, representing Steve and Liz Najarian. I believe that's Mr. Najarian who was logging into the teams just now, along with Chris Childs, who's the builder for the project. As you said, it just turned, according to the town's record, 75 years old on January 1st. Happy birthday. The Najarians have been looking at this project for a couple of years. They've owned the home since 1998. Their plan is to retire the next few years, and they want to move to Chatham on a full-time basis. So they're looking to have a structure on the property that has some more living area for them than what's there now with the cottage. You really can't expand. You can expand very little laterally just because of site coverage issues, only about 75 square feet. So the only option is to go up. The condition of the cottage is such it really doesn't feasible to add a second level, so that led them to the demolition option, which is what they are pursuing now. Looking at your criteria, while again it is just 75 years old, to our knowledge it's not associated with any historical persons or events in the town or the Commonwealth, and we would suggest it does not possess any architectural value or significance in terms of period, style, etc. With that, we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, well, I guess the first question, which was really the question, do we consider this rather cute little cottage to be historically significant? And that we would impose any kind of delay?
I don't think it's historically significant. Excuse me, I don't think it's historically significant.
Yeah, thank you. It's a beautiful neighborhood, so to speak, in terms of its mix of their various cottages and how it was, but I don't disagree with you at all, Steph. I think in itself, given its age and location, it'd make a hard press to provide some of our criteria for historical significance. Sandy, how about you?
Jamie, how big is the lot?
I believe it's around 7,500 square feet.
Wow, so it's a pre-existing non-conforming. Do you have to go before zoning?
Yes, we've been once. We're going back. So
You went to zoning already? Mm-hmm. And what was the issue, if I may ask?
They too tall, and they didn't particularly like the design, so we've made some modifications. It's gonna be lower in height, and
So you
added some
think-
dormers.
This design is going to meet their criteria?
We're hopeful.
No, is it different in design which you were rejecting?
Oh, yeah, it's much different than it was before,
Okay.
so.
Well, I'm going to say it's
And it-
cottagey, I mean, from my perspective.
Yeah.
Not that we have input, so to speak, but, you know, I mean,
And we
if
do
you have
meet-
to do what you're doing, it's not that.
Yeah, and it meets the coverage, which is the big issue.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
the ability to expand out is very limited, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have, are there people directly behind them that have a view? Is there a view that would be blocked by going up?
No,
Okay,
no.
all right. I love the old cottages that Cape Cod has. I hate to see another one go, but I do understand there's no place to go but up, so I have no objection.
Nancy?
I also do not believe that in and of itself it's historically significant. I think it's a challenge because of these old cottages are just hitting, and however, I know the whole Ridgevale neighborhood very well, and they've already started, there are a lot of lot line to lot line, this Board of Appeals must be getting a little bit more rigid about things, so it's kind of hard to say your neighbor can do it and you can't. I think that we should really be aware, though, of these cottages and look for them in landscapes as a group, and we're going to need to be thinking about it. But this particular one, I do not consider historically significant.
But you bring up a very good point, and it's the whole issue with, which we hopefully, it's another item on our agenda, the issue of the Form Bs and the Form As, is to give Eric, I'm sorry, I'm off topic here a bit.
okay.
Eric Dre, our consultant, a little more latitude that we want to address the area, we can start with the real cottage communities which exist, like Nauset and stuff like that, but other parts of the community where I think about what just happened last week with Penrose. I mean, that little cottage, well, anyway, getting off topic. But yes, we definitely need to do that. Bob, how about you in terms of historical?
I don't think there is any historical significance.
I guess I would add my 2 cents to it. It's definitely, I don't think individually we could make an argument for historical significance. I would also add, because zoning is going to ask me, quite honestly, that I believe that what you're proposing, is the height, I'll let them deal with that, but I think the characteristics of the cottagey type that you're proposing is not completely inconsistent with the neighborhood, from my perspective, having driven through that neighborhood.
Yeah,
So
it's definitely a little bit of a
I
mixture
hope
in there.
you have some better luck with zoning. But
We
what
hope
their
so.
objection was just the design that was,
Height primarily, and then part of the design. I mean, we've added the dormers that you see now, I think sort of break a lot of that up. which
okay.
should be a benefit,
broke it up
so.
a bit.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. All right, I think we get a motion. Robert?
I move that the Chatham Historical Commission find that structure located at 128 Pine Knoll Avenue is not historically significant because it does not meet any of the definitional criteria in section 158-2, A, B, or C of the bylaw. Therefore, the commission does not impose a demolition delay.
Okay,
Second.
second, thank you, Nancy. Any member of the public wish to speak for or against the application? Okay, seeing none, and we'll take a roll call. Bob?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
I
much. Have a nice
appreciate
day.
it. Okay. Guess what? Moving along. We have a couple of items just to discuss briefly, and we may set another record. We don't have any administrative
We have
approval?
one.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, the 31.
We okay? It was on the agenda?
It was on the agenda online. It didn't come out, it didn't get ready until, it was not ready until after the packets went out. But
Okay.
it is correct online.
All right. Who looked at this?
Nancy and Janet. It's 31 Adams.
Nancy, can you just give us a couple of words on what you decided? That's why I'm giving it to you.
Sorry. I actually did tour it, and when I went over to see it, the owner came out and walked me around the whole area and talked to me around the house and explained in detail what they're looking to do, which is essentially they had removed a chimney which was falling over, and after the fact realized or were told that they needed to come before us. So the chimney is gone. It's been kind of boarded up. It's an old house, 1932, so it falls well within our purview. It's been changed a lot since its original cottage, the cottage that was built. There's been a lot of additions that have really obscured the original cottage. And also, I feel that the chimney did not appear to me to be as part of the original structure, but part of a later addition. And I don't believe that the changes are diminishing any remaining historical significance, if there is any.
Okay.
So,
All right, for members of the public, what we're doing,
would you like me to read what Janet, or do you want to?
that's okay.
Okay.
We could,
Frank, what's the address?
say again?
What was the address?
31,
31 Adams Lane. Also, I did do some deed research, and I did not find any notable significant historical figures that I was aware of who have owned or built the house.
okay. Just for the public's information, what we're doing here, this is a so-called administrative review process in which if a particular application is relatively minor, either maintenance or very small changes, rather than a full hearing in the process, we have at least two of the members of the commission independently look at a property to make a determination, which Nancy just did, and it comes back to the full board just to reaffirm this decision. So at this particular point, we're just going to affirm the decision of 31 Adams Lane and proceed with the administrative review. So make a motion. I just did.
Second.
Okay. All right, we'll do a quick roll call unless somebody has any comments or concerns. Okay. Bob?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Relative to the issue of administrative approvals, I don't want to do it now, but it's, maybe at the next meeting, let's put it on the agenda. We have a couple of new members, potentially another new member, just to review what it is that we're doing, because it's relatively new for us, and we may want to modify it or expand it to make sure it's definitive. Purpose of administrative review process is to save the public's, time and money for them needing to come for a full hearing, and also to expedite the process, because when somebody has to come for a full hearing, there's a built-in delay of at least a month, in the process. Okay. We have no correspondence. We have some old business things, and I'll talk as quickly as I can. I'm going to kind of take them out of order. The second item is the update of the surveys and the Form Bs and E. The funding has been identified in discussions with myself and Katie Donovan and Christine. There's a draft statement of work that's been provided, and in discussions yesterday with Christine, I'll get it straight. Christine O'Grady, who's our principal planner. This meeting is going to be taking place between Christine and Christine to review the recommendations from the Historical Commission and then provide the necessary formal statement of work out so we could begin that work with hopefully Eric Trey again, who's got a lot of experience. So we're going to, we've been doing this for about a year and a half now since we started it, but it's taken a while to get the funding in process and everything else. But hopefully Eric, if we can turn him on, that'll be good, and we'll begin. It's a multi-year process. We can't do it all at once, but we will proceed to update some of the Form Bs relative to the recommendation the commission gave, which I believe was to look at new Form Bs first and maybe some area forms. So, there's a process. You can't do everything. So much for that. If nobody has other comments. The third item on the agenda, old business, is the determination of eligibility of the William and Ann Nixon Archaeological Homestead for eligibility as a National Register site. We're still awaiting the Conservation Foundation's comments, and I believe at the last meeting, Mr. Lear, in looking at the minutes, gave you a good sense of what's happening. The Conservation Foundation has some questions about the emphasis and naming of the dig to include some more recommendations as it relates to the historical properties, specifically the Monomoy or Indians who had the land. Yeah, the comment is, anywhere you put a spoon in the ground in Chatham, you're in Indian land. So, the entire town was Indian property, if you will. So we need to resolve that, hopefully in the next month or so we can submit that to Mass Historic. Everybody feels we have a really good application that would add another National Register site to Chatham. The fourth item there is the 90 Bridge Street. It's moving along, in terms of the statement of work and for the next phase, and hopefully sometime in 2005 or early 2006, we'll see the boathouse floating back to Chatham. Once that happens, by the way, we would then submit an updated Form B. We had a Form B draft, but we didn't submit it to Mass Historic because we wanted to wait till the boathouse was back in Chatham. And then there's the whole question of possibly doing what is done with the other Coast Guard boathouses, was see if it is eligible as a National Register structure, okay? Last but not least, Stephanie, demolition by neglect hasn't been neglected. It's on Christine's list of to-dos, and right after we get done with the kicking off the Form Bs, then we hope to get her attention to that. So that's where we are. What I want to do is spend a couple of minutes talking about the Pemrose thing, but I'll come back to that. And relative to the chairman's report, I guess, is there anything new on the status of the demolition delays? No. Okay. So nothing's changed there. We're still waiting. The one that intrigues me the most is 322 Bridge Street. That extremely historic property goes back to like 1790 or something like that. It's still there. The owner is still attempting to come to some understanding, but the property hasn't been demolished. So, well, hopefully we'll get something happening there. You never know. The third one there, the Monomoy property, that still is on hold between the owner and the town relative to how to proceed. There was a court decision, which was like a little bit of both, so there was no clear direction. So that's something that could break at any particular time, either break in the sense that we have something as it relates to the old theater, or it comes down, so it's unfortunate, but that's the way it's going. The only thing I would like to do is under old business, go back, is I looked at, unfortunately, I just was not in the condition to join you at the meeting on the results of the Pemrose presentation. And I think, just to summarize it, I looked at the meeting again this morning as I had my Cheerios, and I look at the minutes on what you said, what the various comments, and I think Christina at the end made it clear. Well, yes, we have to comment. We should comment. We have been asked by Mass Historic as it relates to the project notification form. Whenever a property is going to be built using state or federal funds, which this will, and it's a property, and it's in an historic district, which it is, okay, that you have to notify the stakeholders. And guess what? We're one of the stakeholders, the Mass Historic, the Chatham Historical Commission, as well as the HBDC. This is a friendly, so-called, it's a 40B. They call it a friendly 40B because theoretically the town is not fighting it, okay? That's why it's called friendly. When you do a 40B, all it says is that all the other boards and commissions can't say no, but what they can do is provide comments back to the permitting authority, in which this case is the ZBA. So at some point, this applicant, the Penrose, is going to submit a formal application to the Zoning Board of Adjustment. Effectively, the Zoning Board of Adjustment sits as they become everything. They become conservation, they become the historical question. So there's only one decision, okay? So effectively, as far as I'm concerned, your chairman, we need to provide written comments to the Mass Historic about our question, which I think Bob rightfully said, we don't believe this is, the buildings on the property historically significant. So I agree. I'm not trying to argue that point. But by the same token, I think there was enough comments from various members of the board relative to the design, the density, and my own comment is, it looks a little too institutional. I mean, we have a really, and I think one of the members of the public, I think it was Rick Levitt, commented about, how historic this area was, and it would be nicer, quotes, nicer, and hopefully the zoning is going to take, it would be nicer if the design kind of more reflected the less institutional look, like that common building right there in front. I mean, this town went nuts when we were trying to put the Council on Aging, and now this, guess what? It's right there. So anyway, that's my only comment, and I'm going to give, what I'm going to do, if I may, I have your comments that, I made notes from the meeting. I have, it's in the minutes. I'm going to put together a draft of a letter, which would go to zoning, which would go to the ZBA about what we felt and what our opinion is, and it's just our opinion. We don't make a decision, it's just our opinion. And I'll send it around to review as soon as possible, and then I think that's the easiest thing to do, rather than going over it. Yes, Sandy?
I have a question. How big is that piece of property?
It's, 3.5 acres?
And does it go down to the water?
Pardon?
Does it go down to the water? No? Okay.
No. It goes back behind the property where the Levitt property is. There is some wetlands,
Oh, okay.
but
That's what I'm thinking.
it's not, it's well within 100 feet. Yes?
I had to leave. but
Yes.
I did want to make a comment.
Go.
I thought some of the 3 stories were too high for that area.
Got it. I agree. And, to be honest with you, they're right in the front.
Right.
And you know what? They look exactly the same. And that's what makes it, to me, institutional. Okay, turn it. And the thing is, I wish I was at the meeting, I'm sorry. I'm a troublemaker. I looked at some of the other developments they did. Guess what? It wasn't always square. This thing is square. And I know what they're trying to do, and I respect the fact that our select board, our honorable select board, is trying to squeeze in, as Robert Stevenson said, you realize how many people going in this small space? So they're trying to squeeze it in. Okay, but, maybe, all right. Yes, I'm sorry, good.
One more question. Parking. Robert brought up
Yeah.
the issue of parking, because
Yeah.
you could end up, that will be a real issue right there, and a curb cut and in and out, and, I mean, it's,
Well, we leave it to the people who are going to make the decision. That's the zoning. We can only comment and make this as concern. And that's all I guess I do. When I put the letter together, I'm just going to issue concerns. That's all.
Parking
I'm gonna
being
raise
one.
concerns. There's a lot of concerns being voiced verbally, but, now you put it in writing. These are our concerns.
okay.
It may not be everybody in agreement, but these are general consensus of concerns of the Historical Commission. And I appreciate the fact that they have come to us, because of this friendly, technically, I guess if it was not a friendly, they didn't have to come. They could have just bypassed us and gone straight to the zoning. That made it a little bit more confrontational, but they didn't, and that's fine. So hopefully my letter will be friendly, but still issue comments. All right, I just wanted to let you know what I was doing about that, and I appreciate your comments in the meeting, and we'll take it from there. That's all I have, which is probably too much. Yes.
We once discussed changing the 75-year rule because River Bay was coming up soon.
Yeah, we had that on our agenda somewhere.
I didn't see it.
Issues on hold. Well, we, rest his soul, our friend, Mr. Steve Burlingame, had been pushing that, and we did discuss it at a meeting. Go ahead.
It was on an agenda, and there was a discussion, and I
Yes.
think you had decided not to
Yeah, we did make a
pursue it
decision.
further.
Yeah, and the decision was, we didn't want to change it. There's reasons for it, and yes, we're going to be, and I think, Stephanie, just to bring the point up, I think what we're trying to get Eric to do is to help us. Because if we do Form As, like, for instance, if we did a Form A on River Bay, we'll know what we're dealing with from an historic preservation point of view, and it'll give us some guidance. I mean, it's like what we just did with this cottage here in River Bay. Yeah, that's a nice area, but is the whole area historic? Well, not. So Eric could give us some background, and he can kind of give us the right kind of words so we know, it sounds like we know what we're talking about. I always think, yeah. Anyway, okay, anything else? Any member of the public? Gentlemen, would you like to speak to us? It's nice to have a visitor.
Robert Stevens.
Bob Wilson, I'll be going before the select board, I guess, later.
Yes. Nice to meet you, Bob.
Be a possible alternate.
This is Robert Stevens.
Go over to the mic and introduce yourself.
Hold on, Robert.
Okay.
And then Frank, Robert Stevens would like to speak after.
Say again?
Robert Stevens would
Oh.
like to speak after.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Robert Wilson, and I'll be applying later today and it's the first interview I've had for about 40 years, so. But I hope there's a lot to learn here. I had a brief chat with Frank earlier in the week, and it's very interesting, and I have a keen interest in older buildings, and I'm an amateur as far as the technical aspects, but I'm eager to learn, and I really love older buildings, so.
Well, Robert, good to meet you. I want to share with you a comment that I made before the meeting started officially, that I'm going to be there at 5 o'clock, and I'm going to strongly oppose your application. And the reason is I already have a Bob and a Robert. A third one, I don't know if I could handle it.
I go by RP.
RP. All right, well, I assume it'll be okay. Well, good luck this afternoon. I'm going to try and be there.
Okay, I'll see you then.
Thank you very much. Robert, you had something that you wanted to share with us?
Yes, I do. Since you weren't at the last meeting and someone there asked about the size of the lots for the sustainable housing. And the lots are, lot 1 is 2.49 acres. Lot 1 was 1.46 acres. The lot there is 9 buildings and a community center. And my comments stand here. There's very little space there. I estimate about 110 people or so that are going to be living in this community. They're all going to be going in and out of their units from a central courtyard, which is almost the size of a postage stamp. And they're on 63 car parks, plus some charging spots. And having direct experience in this in another lifetime, is these small families tend to grow quickly. And the minute these children become old enough to drive, they're off to school and to their job. And they either get a car or they share some other car in the household. And this idea that we're going to be able to park all of these 48 units on 63 car spots, and I'm not sure whether the charging spots are included in the 63 or not including in the 63, but a lot of these cars, they're not going to be Teslas and little Mini Coopers. These are going to be pickup trucks and vans by the majority. And I think we're going to look back 10 years from now or 20 years from now, and we're going to have cars parked all over the place on the lawn. The first time there's a birthday or a mahjong party, there's going to be cars that are going to fill these spots. And we should nip this in the bud right now. We shouldn't be, we should certainly write a friendly letter. But this project, while I'm for affordable, sustained housing, this project is really shoehorning a lot of people into a very small space. And so I just wanted to be heard. It wasn't in the notes of the meeting. So I just wanted to reiterate that. And I'd be happy to contribute at the appropriate time.
Well, Robert, thank you very much. I happen to agree with you. Unfortunately, from the Historical Commission perspective, we might be able to comment on it briefly from an historic preservation perspective in terms of the density. But I would strongly urge you individually, to speak up, very quickly at the select board and also for the zoning board. We have zoning, and the purpose of zoning is to avoid these kind of circumstances if somebody just came in. But it's a 40B, which means they technically can bypass, all those things. We've kind of, we made a deal with the devil here, and as we all want affordable housing, well, okay. Do we have to solve, in my opinion, now we're getting too editorial here, we can't solve the whole problem, and we're trying to do an awful lot in this. And guess what? We got this one plus the one in 137 at the same time. So it's going to be a lot. One comment I would just generally, and I was the idea of this community building. These properties are going to be built and managed by the same company. Is there going to be another manager's office over in the other building taking up more space? And I think somebody had a good comment about having the community building someplace else. We do have a community center downtown, and guess what? We all go there. So anyway, these are comments we didn't necessarily, not necessarily from a historical preservation point of view. So, nothing is stopping you individually to write your own comments to the zoning board. And I'm sure, Robert, you had a very eloquent presentation here in that 3 minutes. I would put it down in writing and send it to the zoning board. And, I'll make comments within the general letter that I want to write, but I think more specifically, you could do that individually. We're kind of getting off topic here, but that's what we do. So, all right, so I think that's it. If no other comments or comments from the public? Robert?
This is one of the clerk's jobs here, I think. Right?
Say again?
This is one of the clerk's functions.
You didn't give me a script. I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second. All right. I've been at one meeting. I missed one meeting. I get all screwed up. All right, Bob?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Steph?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you very much.